Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're gonna be talking about weapons and legendary slash exotic weapons to have before season 18, since you already know it may be right around the corner. So everyone, we're gonna be covering only arc weapons. I'm not gonna go over void or solo weapons, right? Because this video is all about arc. So why not just keep it arc related? So we're gonna go over a couple legendary weapons that I would highly recommend. Some may be really underrated that not a lot of people use, and we're gonna be going over exotic weapons that might also be underrated but also really used. So alright guys, let's get on to it. So first we're gonna be talking about primary energy weapons related to arc, right? Primary arc weapons that they're fan favorite, some of them, and some of them really underrated, not a lot of people talk about them. But first we're gonna start with the IKLOS SMG, right? No other best SMG in the game in my opinion. Well, besides the funnel web, Curtis the funnel web is a really good weapon, but IKLOS SMG, what I really love about it, it's a great grenade build SMG when you get the right mods or perks per se, my bad. And you could also combine it with Warmind cells, and there's another arc weapon that I'll soon talk about that you could also use for Warmind cells that it's really I wanna, since Warmind cells got nerfed, not to the ground completely, but they're still kind of useful. I still like using them here and there. They're pretty, it's pretty fun. Then the next couple weapons is the Insidious Vow pulse rifle. It's a good, amount of DPS for pulse rifle, right? It's pretty decent, and I really like it, to be honest. I've used it in the past. Then we got the Forgiveness sidearm, which is like the breach light, right? But like now that's in the game, it's like it's a little bit better than the breach light. And then we got the Nation of Beasts. This is such an underrated weapon. Not a lot of people are talking about this hand cannon. I just don't understand why. I mean, I guess you have to go through Last Wish and try to get it. But, why not having to play Last Wish to get a chance of getting this hand cannon? Which is a great hand cannon, right? It has fire or Dragonfly or Firefly, one of those two, right? The explosive, headshot perk. And on top of that, it also has Outlaw. So every single time you defeat a target and with the headshot, you can reload your hand cannon fairly quickly, and it does a fairly decent amount of damage. So I don't understand why a lot of people don't talk about it. But yeah. Moving on, we have the SalvagerSalvo. This is about like a year old grenade launcher. It's an arc weapon that's a really good ad clear of a grenade launcher. It's a really powerful grenade launcher. It has spy grenades on top of the fact that it can also roll with Ambitious Assassin, Chain Reaction, Demolitionist, and Vorpal weapon, right? In a special weapon, Vorpal weapon on top of having spy grenades is an actual good thing to have when you're dealing with like targets that are a little bit more farther away, when you're not using a sniper type thing. But either way, like for this grenade launcher, just to reach a certain area, right? To kill ads, which is the chain reaction. When you kill one ad, it explodes in a chain react. It does a chain reaction effect upon any other ad that also dies and blows up right next to them. So it's a really good ad clear weapon. And then we have the Forbearance, the Vow of the Disciple waveframe grenade launcher. Now, the reason why I was saying the SalvagerSalvo is good for distance, right, and shooting enemies across, let's say, a bridge or something like that. The thing about it is that SalvagerSalvo, you can detonate it wherever you want. SalvagerSalvo, since it's a not SalvagerSalvo, but Forbearance, since it's a waveframe, it has to hit the ground and it makes a wave of energy, and whatever is within inside that effect of the wave, gets damaged. So where you cannot use the Forbearance, you can use the SalvagerSalvo, and in my opinion, they're both one of the best accurate weapons in this game. In the heavy weapon category, right, of course we have the 7 Seraph Saw, as I already mentioned. It correlates to the IKLOS SMG, right? It could also make Warmind cells, right? And on top of that, it could also bro with firing line. For a machine gun to have firing line, it's actually a really good viable option. I used this in Grandmasters a whole lot when the adept weapons first came out in this game. And then with field prep on this weapon, I also really enjoy having field prep. When you're crouching, you reload significantly faster, and on top of that, you get deeper pockets, meaning you get more ammo overall, not in your magazine, right, but overall ammo, right? Instead of like having, I think it was like 300 or 150 right rounds, you can it'll give you field prep will give you like maybe around 50 rounds extra that you can have. So that's a whole separate magazine that you could have thanks to field prep. And then what is it? We have the Storm Chaser, right, which is the linear fusion rifle from Duality Dungeon. This thing used to be top meta, DPS fusion rifle. In my opinion, it's still viable even though it got nerfed, right, with this like little glitch ability that you could do. The reason why I'm saying that, it might actually be one of the best weapons to DPS, even though we have Cataclysmic with bait and switch and 4 times the charm, is the fact that we could use the Storm Chaser with firing line, right? A firing line, and then on top of that, with Font of Might, right? Firing line, as I already said before, is a 20% buff, and then on top of Font of Might, that's another 20% buff. So a total of 40% overall damage increase to this weapon when you're using Font of Might, and you're using an Arc Super. Cataclysmic, right? The bait and switch only gives you 30. So that's a 10% increase. It's not much, but it's it's something to be noticed, right? And then I'm really sorry for this, but I also left out some few weapons that are really underrated in my opinion. First, I want to talk about the Arc Logic, the auto rifle from the moon. You can farm this weapon, right? It's gonna take a little while, but this auto rifle, it might be one of the best clear weapons, next season. Since Arc is going to be a whole meta type thing, this thing can roll with Subsistence, Adrenaline Junkie, or Overflow Surrounded. Like, just those, perks alone are really overpowered, right? And having Overflow with Adrenaline Junkie is actually something that you shouldn't be laughing at. It's actually a really good weapon to be talking about. Then moving on to the exotic weapons, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail into these because, a lot of people already know about them, right, and how to get them. And so, they're not that special, but it's still something to, that people should be noticing to have these exotic weapons. So first of all, we're going to start with honorable mentions, which is going to be the Wrist Runner, Fourth Horseman, and Trinity Ghoul, right? As you already know, both Wrist Runner and Trinity Ghoul, one of the best Arc, exotic, ag clear weapons. And then of course we have the Fourth Horseman, which deals so much damage, in a blink of an eye, right? If we have the the catalyst for it, which allows it to reload it faster. Then we have the Divinity, which is a debuff for the team. We have Cloud Strike, which is a really underrated sniper, which in my opinion is actually pretty decent at doing damage, right? And then we have a heavy weapon that's probably one of my favorite heavy weapons to use, and it's the Thunderlord. Thunderlord recently got a buff this season with the machine gun buff. So in my opinion, Thunderlord is probably gonna be really probably a really viable option for both DPS and ag clear. Then since I don't know if you guys already know, they're gonna give Trench Barrel to the Legend of Akers. You heard that right. The Legend of Akers used to be one of the best DPS weapons in the game, but unfortunately it got nerfed and now it doesn't have a place in meta. So next season, now that's gonna have Trench Barrel. When you melee, you get, I believe it will say 25% buff on your overall damage. That's actually something to consider. So that's pretty much it for the exotic weapons. So guys, that's pretty much pretty it for today. So if you guys really liked this video and enjoyed listening to me, right, and talking about the future metas for next season and stuff like that, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, possibly subscribe. I would greatly appreciate a subscribe hit, right? And on top of that, if you have any questions, right, or concerns, please leave a comment, right, and I'll try to answer it as fast as possible. And then if you guys want to learn something new, if you guys want to talk or want a video about armor, specific armor, what I would recommend as an a 2-time top 1000 world's first, got that, day 1 completionist, right, and raids and stuff like that, what I would highly recommend. Please let me know if you guys want a separate video on the armor and stuff like that. Well guys, that's pretty much it for today. Alright guys, see you guys in the next one.